Happy Friday, everybody. It's January 17th, 2020, third Friday in the new year and the new decade. I'm Cheryl Fidelman, life coach, trauma healer, and writer. And today's topic on Fridays with Fidelman is gaslighting. It's not your partner, it's you. Now, this is a suggested way to look at things. I'm not at all saying that gaslighting is not a real thing. It's an interesting phrase or word, two words put together, gaslighting. I'm not sure why the word makers put those two words together. I guess it's like creating a smoke and mirrors in front of somebody. In any case, it's a valid thing to have somebody not validate your feelings, to tell you you should be feeling something else, to be doing something to you that may objectively cause somebody pain and tell them that you shouldn't be in pain. And then the person receiving the gaslighting is thinking, maybe I shouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling because this person that I love or this person that I'm partnering with, I trust them. And if they're telling me I shouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling, maybe they're right. So it's to be gaslighted and to actually for it to be effective on somebody, I think is like a really innocent thing. You know, if you're a codependent and you're being gaslighted and it's working, I'm suggesting because the person, you really trust the person that you're with. And potentially you trust them more than you trust yourself. And the reason why I titled this video, it's not your partner, it's you, is because I want to sort of flip the camera. Instead of putting the camera on your partner, putting it on yourself. Why am I gaslightable? Why is it that if somebody says what you're feeling is actually not the feeling you're supposed to be feeling, or what you're feeling is actually not appropriate for the situation, like so I said something and you're feeling something and what you're feeling is not the right reaction. And if you receiving that kind of communication are saying or questioning your own reaction, your own feelings, your own intuition, and potentially your intuition is out the window, your intuition doesn't even have an existence for you anymore, then it's easy to look at the partner. The partner is doing this thing to me. Well, to take it a step further, why are you gaslightable? Is it easy for somebody to say you shouldn't feel what you're feeling and you go, oh, maybe that's true? What is it within you that has you be able to set aside your own feelings and believe somebody else about what you should be feeling more than how you're actually feeling? So to take gaslighting a step further, if you're having an experience of somebody gaslighting you, I suggest another layer of it is to say to yourself, because it's working, because what they're saying is working, and I'm manipulatable, and I'm questioning what I'm thinking. Why am I gaslighting myself? Because in any relationship, whether you're married or single or you're dating, the most important relationship is the relationship that you have with yourself. And if you're gaslightable and you're able to not validate your own feelings, set them aside, manipulate them, and may occur as if somebody else is manipulating your feelings, why are you manipulatable? Why are you deferring to somebody else for how it is that you feel? And for a lot of codependents, it's because when we were children, what we were actually feeling didn't work and it wasn't validated. And not just by our parents, our guardians, or those that were held the container of our holding environment, but there's also something just simply embedded in culture, the culture of humanity at large, that there's like this unsaid agreement: don't feel your feelings, do something else. And I think marketing plays a huge role in that. I think readily available substance plays a huge role in that. And also, what I've said this many, many times, and I'm really happy that it's not starting, but this kind of conversation is happening on a much bigger level with people who have way more visibility than I do. And that's the conversation of having emotional intelligence classes in school, in curriculums that are just as important as social studies and math and history, or whatever the basic curriculums are. We are not taught how to digest our feelings. Not just digest our feelings, but notice our feelings, recognize our feelings. How do we then feel the feeling? I mean, feeling feelings for so many people is like a foreign concept. To actually stay with the feeling and the sensation and not pretend as if you're feeling something else. And sometimes it's not even a pretense, it's real. It's like, I don't feel that thing. I notice it, but I don't feel it. And then sometimes our nervous systems are so shocked out of feeling what's there to be felt that we actually don't even notice the feeling. That neutrality is more abundant than sensation for a lot of us. So there's a bunch of thoughts around how we digest feeling and sensation. So when we are in partnership, every single one of your thoughts and your feelings and your sensations are your responsibility. They're yours. Now, when we lack the ability to have a relationship between our thoughts, our sensations, what we're seeing, what we're hearing, right? And then there's the filters through which we see and hear and how we interpret things. And then we have our emotions. So oftentimes it occurs as if this person would just stop doing this thing, or if this person would change, then I wouldn't feel this feeling anymore, and then I would feel happy in the relationship. Well, being a sovereign being means that my feelings and emotions don't actually depend on the way somebody else is operating. Especially if you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have their traumatic identity distinguished. And if you don't have your traumatic identity distinguished, then you're just two traumatic identities playing trauma ping pong, just passing the ball back and forth. Someone's trauma gets triggered, and they say something, and that triggers somebody else's trauma, and they say something that triggers, and then you're consistently relating inside of a triggered state, and thinking that the conversation that's happening is actually real. And I'm going to suggest that a lot of those conversations aren't real. Nobody's feeling anything, and if somebody feels something, they then blame it on the other person, that I'm feeling this because of you. Now, if you're feeling something and you're blaming it on somebody else, that means that is a gaslighting unto yourself. What you're saying is, I'm feeling something, and I shouldn't be feeling this feeling, and I don't have a choice but to feel this feeling, and that's your fault. So if you're having a feeling or a sensation in a relationship, and you can't look to see why you're feeling it, what is happening? What is being triggered? What is the root of that feeling and trigger back to your childhood, right? Because, even people who are not like in a gaslighting situation, they're single, or you're in a relatively healthy relationship, but there's moments where something is said, and then the other partner feels a certain way, and then the other partner goes, "You shouldn't feel that way. What I said was not that intense." And then one person can feel as if they're being gaslighted because the other person is not validating what they're feeling, because they're feeling blamed that what you're feeling is so intense, but they didn't do anything that intense. And then you're trying to figure out where the intensity began. Did it begin with what the person said, or did it begin how the other person responded? And that is one thing that causes fights in functional to dysfunctional relationships, which is like, where did the intensity begin? And most importantly, it doesn't even matter. It's unanswerable. And most important, it's important to unenmesh yourself, right? Because oftentimes when there's a trigger, one or both people are triggered, there's this need to be even more enmeshed and figure it out. That's where anxious attachment builds. We can't separate now because emotions are high, and I will become anxious if we then separate. Because when emotions are high, it means potentially someone can abandon, so let's get closer and mash ourselves together and figure this out, right? That's why it is so important to have a relationship with yourself, to be able to say, I'm going to leave. I'm going to figure this thing out with myself right now. So I don't think you're the person to figure this out with. Something's happening within me that might actually have nothing to do with you. I'm going to go figure that out with myself. And that piece, for a lot of people, comes during your healing journey. Because when we're kids, what we're feeling oftentimes isn't just is actually, how can I say this? The triggers to feeling a loss of trust, the triggers of feeling of a loss in safety, the triggers of feeling like I'm actually not causing this feeling and sensation on my own, it's your fault, that is real for a child. Because they're actually creating in real time their connection and relationship with safety and trust. They're creating it in real time with the people who actually really are responsible for their safety and their feelings and sensations and emotions. When we get older, we then still think the people that we're with are responsible for how we're feeling and how we're moving through the holding environment, which for a lot of people, for adults, are relationships or marriages. It is no longer true. And when we fall into thinking like I can't believe that you just made me feel that way, right? Or you need to change your thought system so that I feel safe. You then fall into a parent-sibling paradigm, which happens in relationship. It's also very important to keep an eye on. Not just in intimate relationships, mainly in intimate relationships. It happens in dating, it happens in friendships, it happens at work as well. When there are different frequencies the relationship can exist on. Like in one moment you could be in a parent-sibling dynamic where the question of protection and safety is being thrown back and forth. And then you're lovers again, right? And then you're maybe like a playmate sibling kind of a thing. So there's different frequencies that relationships can exist on. It's good to notice that as well. Like, what frequency are we in right now? Am I mothering you? Are you fathering me? Am I wanting you to father me, but you don't know that I want you to father me, so I'm giving you some responsibility that you don't know that you even have right now? So the extent to which our nervous system is healed or not healed is the extent to which we fall into different relational frequencies. Because we may not even know that what's coming up for us is a need for validation, for example. We might not even be aware that our nervous system is going, I feel invisible. And then we're saying one thing, but underneath what we're saying, we are imposing a responsibility on somebody. And then we can look at even moments when we're alone and we're feeling things and we're going, I'm not going to feel the thing that I'm feeling. I want to feel something else. Okay? That is gaslighting unto oneself. You can gaslight yourself too. You can completely invalidate your own experience unto yourself. And then your life starts to be incongruent. And you're like, why is my life incongruent with what I actually want? Why do I feel like an imposter in my life? Why am I wearing all of these masks? And my life doesn't feel like aligned with my heart and my soul. And potentially you are gaslighting yourself. You're your own gaslighter. And that's, our existence is not validated as children, and we're told to be something else, feel something else. Maybe we're not literally told that, but that's the way in which we need to survive our holding environment. It totally screws with our relationship to ourselves. We want to be seen, we want to be understood, we want to be protected, and as we grow up, we still think somebody else has to do that. But really, we have to see ourselves. We have to understand ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. That comes from us. And that piece of us, which would be the antithesis of our traumatic identity, and in my work, and not just in my work, but in a lot of, healing schools of thought, that would be called your authentic self, the real you, the one that is safe, that can bring itself to life, and that can hold all of the feelings and sensations and thoughts of reactions of one's own experience, that it's all valid. It's a self-investigation. It's going, oh, look at the puzzle piece of me. Look at all of these triggers and all of these feelings and all of these bizarre things about me that are actually happening with or without people. So with or without being in relationship, there's still an opportunity to gaslight yourself, which is like totally invalidating yourself. And with or without people, like being in relationship, there's still an opportunity to heal and create a oneness and alignment with yourself. And a believing of yourself. Not like belief in yourself, like believe you can do it, Yeah, that's great. That's a part of it. But actually believing what you're feeling. Actually believing your sensations and your intuition. Having really located your inner compass. Being able to distinguish, like, there's a voice inside of me that's, my intuition is that I'm not safe. Well, that might not be your intuition. That might be your traumatic identity. So eventually, when you learn to not gaslight yourself and or not be gaslightable by others, it's because what has happened is that you've gotten to a point in your healing path when your nervous system can tell the difference between an actual threat and a perceived threat. Then you can start to have the experience that your feelings are not a threat, and somebody else's feelings are not a threat. No matter how good or bad or confusing those feelings are, they're not a threat. There's a lot of pain to be felt in life, right? There's a lot of just awful, crappy feelings. A lot of awful things that happen. There's a lot of amazing, beautiful things that happen as well. When our nervous system starts to know what is a threat and what is a perceived threat, then your capacity for feeling the good, the bad, and the ugly expands. Because for most of us, we can contain the good, the bad, the ugly, and the multi-dimensions of each, right? I mean, suffering has so many different dimensions. Happiness has so many different dimensions. And we are vessels that have the capability to hold all of the light and dark. Unless our automatic reaction is, I'm actually not even safe in my own body to experience the multi-dimension of different states of being. That, I'm suggesting, is an act of gaslighting oneself. Speaking, of course, to people that are not operating within diseases or disorders or imbalances that can be that are categorized in the DSM, right? I'm speaking to those that are, have a decent level of functioning in their life. People can move through life at, and have, moderate to high level success and not feel a thing. And also still not feel like they're living their authentic self. Okay. I think I've said all that I wanted to say on that topic. Please feel free to share your thoughts. Couple of things, couple of announcements. I have a couple of New Year's discounts left. Just a few. So you can book your free consultation. The link is in the email. It's also in the description of this email. To see if my work is something that aligns with your healing journey. And if you want to grab one of those free New Year's free sessions to come into the program with the New Year's discount. Also, I'm opening up some VIP days. Condensing the level of shift and change that happens in my 6-month attunement program into 2 days. So come talk to me about that. Please comment on the video. Please subscribe. And stop gaslighting yourself if that's something that if that's a sort of an idea that you resonate with. You are awesome. Life is now. Your authentic self is there. It's right there. It's right there. Waiting to be validated by you. Happy Friday. Have an awesome weekend. Bye. One more thought. When you get to the other side of not being gaslightable, when you can distinguish, are my reactions and my experience in this relationship completely informed by my trauma, or is it informed specifically by the dynamic between me and this person? Sometimes you can't tell, right? Once you can distinguish, is my experience being led and highlighted by my triggers? Or is this be a creation? Is this being born by the combination of me and this other person? Then you can actually decide, should I be in this relationship? Or should I move further into this relationship? Also, some people don't leave relationships because they're afraid of being single. Well, your fear of being single also is your relationship to yourself. And it also moves back to, is my relationship with myself uncomfortable because my relationship with myself is triggering unhealed trauma from the past? So when your experience in your body is fully excavated, like fully, you can tell what is being steered and driven by the past and what is a current moment reaction, then you'll have way more discernment around who you should be spending your time with, connecting with, surrounding yourself with, including the most important person, yourself, including the most important person who you should be having quality time with, which is yourself. And that quality time with yourself could be with another person, as long as you're having the experience of trusting and validating yourself with another person. Okay, everybody. Happy Friday and happy healing.